Hey, my beloved Algebra 2 students, this is round 2 of our review for this upcoming test to be on Thursday the 27th. I'd like to go back over this one, which I was working on when my time ran out. This is number 12. And this one is a bit more challenging than the one we did before. These types here, when you see these, you know that since it ends with a plus and it has a minus in here, it has to be a negative times a negative to give you this positive in order for the middle term to be negative. Again, a negative times a negative to give you a positive in order for the middle term to be negative. So that's why we have a negative 7 and a negative 9. When multiplied together, give you a positive 63. And then when you add those two negatives, you get a bigger negative. Now here, it's different. We don't have a positive last term and a negative middle term. We have a negative and a negative. So what this tells you, even before we take a look at it, is that the two numbers which we multiply together to get negative, one must be positive, one must be negative. The bigger one should be negative for this. Again, the bigger of the two should be the negative, and the smaller should be the positive. So that's kind of a good way of segue into this one, since we know the middle term is negative. Let me say it this way as well. If the middle term were positive, like in this one, then although the two numbers would have to be different signs, positive and negative, the bigger one would have to be positive in order for the middle term here to be positive, okay, for this type. But let's work on this one first with a negative middle term. Here we go. Two numbers multiplied together to give me a negative 63. What are those numbers? And I've got to be thinking also, when I choose those numbers, I have to choose them in such a way that when I add them, I get a 2 here. So 9 times 7. Good prospects. 9 minus 7 is 2, right? Yes. So 9 with 7. And as I mentioned to you before, the bigger one has got to be negative because the bigger one dominates the sign. So it's going to be a t minus the bigger one, which is 9, times t plus, wrong, going in the wrong way, t, let me try that again, t plus the smaller, and that would be the answer there. Alright, let me take this out so it doesn't confuse us. That's the answer. T minus 9 times t plus 7. And you can check quickly. Negative 9 times positive 7 is a negative 63. When you do negative 9 times t, you get negative 9t. And to get another t term, you do a positive 1t times a positive 7. That's going to be a positive 7. So positive 7t with a negative 9t gives you a negative 2t. So that is the way you do those. Okay? Now make sure you do this one. And make sure you do this one as well to get your practice. Now, let's take a look at factoring polynomials with last term only is negative, middle term is positive. Well, this is the one I alluded to before. To get a last term which is positive, what do we need? We need the two factors to be such that one is negative, one is positive. The sign's different, it's negative. Okay? But the bigger one has got to be positive in order for us to end up with a positive middle term. So, what are the two numbers? Again, it's going to be 9 and 7 because 9 take away 7 will give us the 2. Okay? 9 with 7 will give us the 2. So let's go ahead and do it. It's going to be t. Since the bigger one must be positive, I'm going to put plus 9 and then t minus 7. So you can see the difference between this one and this one. Very similar, but one takes the negative 9 because the middle term is negative, and one takes the positive 9 because the middle term here is positive. Okay? So go ahead and practice yourself with this one and that one. And then we'll end up with these, which I call them well-flavored bone eyes. I trust you'll be able to follow these. Okay? Now these are going to be maybe the toughest types that you do. I don't want you to retreat. I want you to remember our scripture. It says the things that are impossible with men are what? Possible with God. So factoring these is possible with God. So let's take a look at what we've got. We got a 3p squared plus 17p plus 10. So how do you get a 3p squared? Well, I'm sure you have an idea. It has to be a 3p in one parenthesis times 1p in the other. Does that make sense? Good, I can hear you saying yes. So 3p times 1p will give me the 3p squared. So here's what I like to do for these. I like to think of it like this. Oops. Here comes a 3 for the first parenthesis. And here comes a 1. And now I want to find two factors of 10 such that when I multiply them together I get a positive. Well, this is going to be positive, so I can be confident that those two numbers should be positive, right? Yes, I'm positive about that. So those two numbers are positive. You say, what can we try? Positive 5 times positive 2? Yes, let's try that. Positive 5, put it onto here, and positive 2, put it onto here. What I do with these is I multiply 2 times 3. Let me draw a line here. I multiply 2 times 3, so I kind of crisscross multiplication. 2 times 3, and that gives me 6. And then I multiply 5 times 1, and that gives me 5. 5 plus 6 will give me, you know what it is, going to give me 11. That's not what I want here. I want 17. So, not to worry. What I do is I switch these. So, instead of 5 here and 2 here, here's what I do. I put 2 here and 5 here. And here I'm going to try now. Let me erase this. I'm trying again. This is not what I want. I want to get 17 in the middle. So watch carefully. 5 times 3 is 15. And 2 times 1 is 2. 15 plus 2 give me 17. So now I get the 17 I wanted in the middle. And here's what I do. These two, the 3 and 2 goes in the first parenthesis. So 3 is already there. Just have to put a plus 2 now. And in the second parenthesis goes the 1 and 5. So second parenthesis, oh my God, this should be 3 and 2, 3p plus 2, and then 1p, or just p, plus 5. This goes in the second parenthesis. Plus 5. If you can do those types, you can just about do any one. Let's go over this one time. 3p squared, how do I get it? It's 3p times p would give me a 3p squared. That's why I put 3 here representing the 3p, and then 1 here representing the 1p. And then I need 2 factors for 10 to combine with the 3 and the 1 in order to get 17 in the middle. So I tried 5 and 2, that didn't work. But I'm trying 2 and 5 now. When I go 5 times 3, I get 15. And that's what you'd get here, 5 times 3 here. That would give you the 15p. And then 2 times 1, that gives me 2. Like I do 2 times 1 here would be a 2p. 15 plus 2p is 17p. So that would be the factoring of that. And I'd like you to take and do that one. And now let me do one more, and that will be it. Here comes this one, 7r squared minus 9r plus 10. So how can I get 7r squared? Very, very simply. We have 7r in one parenthesis, and then we have what? 1r or r in the other. Let's not put any signs yet. And like I did before, I'm going to have a 7 and beside it I'm going to have a 1. And now we're going to move this from here. Let's put it right here. Seven and a 1, like that. And now I'm going to take and look at the negative 10 and say, which two numbers I have to multiply together to get a negative 10 such that the middle term is negative? Well, here's a clue. We know that one of these two numbers will be negative, one is positive. Which one you suppose will be negative? I'm sure you're saying the bigger one will be negative. So let's try 5 and 2 again, making the 5, the bigger one, negative. So here it comes. -5, -5 that is, and then +2. So we do the multiplication this way. +7 times +2 will give me +14, right? I know where my cursor is. Losing it. +7 times +2 should give me a +14. I'm going to put it right here. And then -5 times -1 would give me -5. Well, try again. +7 times +2 would be a +14. Better. -5 times -1 would be a -5. Should be a -5 here. I want to put it under the 14. I have to wait a few seconds to get it over there. Under the 14. It's a -5 times a -1. -5. So 14 minus 5, that's going to give me a 9. 9 goes here. Is that what I want? Almost. I want a +9. So not to worry. All I need to do is to switch the -5 and the -2. And when I do, 2 is here. -5 is here. When I switch it, it's going to